Think about your neighborhood. Now imagine if 3 different people were promised the keys to your front door at the exact same time. Who has the right to be there? To understand the Israel-Palestine conflict, we have to go back to when the first seeds of this triple promise were planted. In 1880, this land was part of the Ottoman Empire. It wasn't a desert, it was a patchwork of olive groves and bustling markets. Arab Muslims, Christians, and small Jewish communities, the old Yishuv, lived as neighbors. But in Europe, a storm was brewing. From the bloody pogroms of Russia to the Dreyfus affair in France, Jewish people were being told, "You don't belong here." Enter Theodor Herzl, a journalist who decided that if Europe wouldn't have them, they needed a home of their own. This was the birth of Zionism. Starting in 1882, the first Aliyah began. These were idealists buying land, often mosquito-filled swamps, from wealthy, absentee landlords. But here's the detail often missed: local Arab farmers, who had tilled that soil for generations without official deeds, suddenly found themselves evicted. The first seeds of us versus them were planted in the very dirt. World War I changed everything. Britain was desperate to win. To the Arabs, they sent T.E. Lawrence of Arabia, promising an independent Arab kingdom if they revolted against the Ottomans. But behind closed doors, British and French diplomats, Sykes and Picot, were drawing lines on a map, secretly dividing the land for themselves. Question: how do you build a country on a foundation of secrets? Then came the 1917 Balfour Declaration. Britain promised the Jewish people a national home in Palestine. Britain had now written 3 checks for 1 piece of land. After the war, Britain moved in as the mandate ruler. They tried to be the referee in a game with no rules. As the 1930s arrived and Hitler rose to power in Germany, a steady stream of Jewish refugees became a flood of desperate survivors. By 1936, the Palestinian Arabs had had enough. They launched a massive Great Revolt against British rule and mass immigration. The British response was brutal, mass executions and the destruction of Arab leadership. By the time the revolt ended in 1939, the Arab community was exhausted and defenseless, just as the world's greatest horror, the Holocaust, was about to begin. Post-World War II, the world saw the skeletons of the Nazi camps. Global guilt turned into a demand for a Jewish state. In 1947, the UN proposed a divorce, the partition plan. 55% of the land for a Jewish state, 45% for an Arab state. Think about it: would you accept a deal where a stranger decides how to split your house? The Jewish leaders said yes. The Arab leaders, seeing it as colonial theft, said no. The British, bankrupt and tired, decided to simply walk away. As the Union Jack was lowered, the Civil War ignited. Neighbors who once traded bread now traded gunfire. On May 14, 1948, the British clock hit 0. The departure of one empire was the birth of a tragedy that hasn't ended. The first seed was planted. The first war was about to begin. That is where Short 2 starts. Follow for the next chapter.